What is up, people? I hope you're doing great. I hope you're having a great day. Welcome to another video. Welcome to my channel. Um, it's a very sad moment for me because this is my first video since my phone was stolen, and that's why I didn't post a video last week with regards to previewing the games for the weekend because my phone got stolen on Wednesday last week. So hopefully God deals with the people who mugged me, because my phone got mugged and I lost my phone. And that's pretty sad because my phone was still new. I actually bought it in February. So, yeah. But on, obviously I can't really dwell on that, because obviously it's not my fault that I was mugged. That says more about the people who mugged me than it says about me. But I was actually I was coming back from like tutoring this student that I tutor, like that I help with maths, who's in matric, and then I got mugged. But it is what it is. So yeah, guys, I guess this is my welcome back, and like basically, I just want to review the games that we're playing this weekend, and yeah, man. Obviously, we're getting really close to the World Cup now because I think next week is the last round of Premier League fixtures, if I'm not mistaken. Um, yeah, so basically, the World Cup is coming pretty soon, and because we obviously like tomorrow is basically November. I'm not sure when the World Cup actually starts, but I am sure that we are pretty close to the start of the World Cup, whenever that may be. So yeah, guys, I just want to review these games now. You'll notice that I haven't really posted about the Champions League. The Champions League is pretty boring at this moment, because it's the group stages. Like, for example, now match day 6 is going to be is going to be taking place tomorrow and on Wednesday. But again, most of the games, there's nothing to play for. The teams are just playing. City are probably going to play their second string side to try and limit injuries. So, like, because they're already qualified, I think Bayern Munich already qualified, Barcelona have been knocked out, PSG have already qualified, Liverpool have already qualified, Napoli have already qualified. So I just don't see a point in me kind of talking about the Champions League because there's no jeopardy really apart from Tottenham. So that's why I'm not really posting any videos about the Champions League. I will be trying to post some videos next year when the knockout phases of the Champions League start, because that's when the Champions League is going to get really interesting. So yeah, guys, that's why. But I will try and find some other topics to kind of talk about during the week, so that I can post some content. So yeah, guys, I guess that's my longest introduction since I started this YouTube thing. So if you haven't done so, guys, please subscribe to the channel, and also please push the notification bell so that you can get notified each time I post a new video. And also please push that like button, guys. It's free of charge. Please push that thumbs up button. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Yeah, man, guys, please keep following the channel. Please keep supporting the channel. That would really be massive. Like, it would massively help if you guys would do that for me. And I appreciate all those ones who have already done that. So guys, please continue to support the channel. And now, obviously, on to the games, guys. This weekend there were some cracking games this weekend. So I'll just start on when did we actually play? We played on Saturday, eh? Yeah, we played on Saturday. Oh, actually, yeah. So I'll start with our game then, like with the City game, because that was the first game of the weekend. It was the early kickoff on Saturday. We played half past 1 South African Standard Time, or half past 12 UK time, 12:30 p.m. To be exact, or not half past 12 in the morning. It would be in Australia where the Premier League plays in the morning because of the time zone difference. But yeah, guys, we played against Leicester City at the King Power Stadium. Now, like, playing against Leicester City is always a tough game for us because Leicester City kind of play the same way. Like, since they've been coached, they've been coached by Brendan Rodgers. I'm sorry, guys, for being fidgety. My back is itching a bit. Like, I have a problem with my skin. So like, if you look here, I don't know if you can see. No, you probably can't see. Like, if you can look right here in my neck or something, I don't know if you guys can see this. But like, I've got like spots here, Like if you look here, that's more clear. If you look here, like I've got spots, and that goes all the way to my back. I don't know what it is. I think it's psoriasis or something. I don't know what it's actually called. I've never actually gone to the doctor for this. But I'll probably find some time to go to the doctor. So that's why I'm kind of itching, because sometimes like it makes my skin really dry and it's like itchy. So yeah, guys, I'm sorry there for being fidgety, man. I really apologize for that. I know that might be a bit disturbing. But yeah, guys, like going on, obviously, I was basically saying, when we play Leicester, like at the King Power Stadium, it's always a bit of a struggle. I remember last year we won 1-0 at the King Power Stadium as well. Pretty similar game to the one on Saturday, where Leicester kind of sat back for the first 75 minutes of the game. Then they started attacking us to try and counter-attack and to try and score and nick a draw. That's what they kind of always do. Like that's what they've always been doing since Brendan Rodgers came to their football club, and since Brendan Rodgers has been coaching them. They kind of like try and stay in the game for as long as they can, and then like try and keep the scoreline down. And then once like we reach the 70th minute or the 75th minute, and there's 15 minutes, there's 20 minutes left to play, they start kind of attacking. They start kind of trying to carve out some opportunities to try and like get a goal. And they actually, I thought in that first half, they had a few like half chances when they were counter-attacking us. And I think Pep actually did the right thing by not starting Ruben Diaz in that game, because Ruben Diaz, as much as I think he's our best defender in terms of like that grit and that determination to keep clean sheets that he brings to the table, I think Akanji and Laporte and Ake are probably our fastest centre-backs. So Pep was basically playing Laporte and Akanji with the thought of Jamie Vardy and the counter-attacking threat that he poses. Like Jamie Vardy is really good on the thingy. Jamie Vardy is really good on the break. Like he always plays on the shoulder of the defender, and he tries to run past defenders and run behind the lines. And we always play a high line, so we're always vulnerable to that. So I think it was a good selection from Pep in terms of picking Laporte and Akanji, because they are two of our fastest centre-backs. And you'll notice that like there's been some games when Ruben Diaz hasn't played so far this season, and the majority, like the main reason for that is because Walker is currently injured, because Walker does offer us a lot in terms of stopping counter-attacks whenever he plays, because he's really pacey, but he's injured at this moment in time, so we're having to play John Stones at centre-back, at right back. So as a result, like if we play John Stones, Ruben Diaz, Laporte and Cancelo, we are really slow in terms of recovery pace, and we can get done on the counter-attack. So that's why Pep started Laporte and Akanji, and I thought they played really well, because there was one or two opportunities where like Jamie Vardy had an opportunity to run in behind, and Laporte like quickly sprinted back, and he was able to like to close out the opportunity, to basically close him down and try and make sure that he doesn't get the opportunity to shoot at goal. So I thought Harvey Barnes showed a few glimpses of his talent when he was up against John Stones, but I thought John Stones defended him really well, because he never really allowed him to kind of like keep on kind of like cutting into his favorite right foot. He was showing him to the byline all the time, so that he is forced to kind of put a cross in or take a shot with his weaker left foot. So I thought that was good defending from thingy. So I thought that was good defending from John Stones. That was a good performance from him. And then with regards to like our midfielders, I thought Rodri was a 7-8 out of 10, as he is every week. I thought De Bruyne was man of the match, as he obviously won the man of the match. And Bernardo Silva's energy was really good in terms of just trying to make sure that whenever Leicester get the ball, we quickly get the ball. Whenever like Leicester won the ball, we quickly get it back. I don't know why I can't say quickly now. We quickly get it back from them. So I thought the energy in midfield was really good in terms of the intensity. Obviously, Erling Haaland didn't play because he had a bit of a knock that he got against Dortmund last week. So he didn't play. Alvarez played. Got one opportunity in the first half when he was deemed to have been offside. But like on replay, you actually could see that he was not actually offside. So if he would have scored that chance, the goal would have stood. And it was good movement from him. I thought he had one or two other glimpses in the game, but he was really quiet. But I'm not really kind of gonna criticize Alvarez and say he was poor, because it's really difficult to be lively if you're playing against like a back five and you're playing against tall, big centre backs. What I was kind of like lamenting from our team, especially in that first half, was the fact that we kept on putting crosses into the box. And I thought there was no point in putting crosses into the box, because these guys have tall centre backs. They were playing a back three, like they were playing three centre. Obviously, they were playing a back five with three centre backs, and all three of their centre backs are 6 foot plus. So it was really pointless putting crosses when you have Alvarez, who's like 5'8" or 5'7" or 5'9". I'm not. Alvarez is pretty short when you look at him. So I thought it was pretty pointless to kind of put crosses into the box when he's up against big, tall centre backs. That's what I wasn't happy with in that first half, because I thought we were getting a few opportunities in terms of getting to like the byline and having opportunities to cross the ball, but I thought we were just overdoing it a bit, and it was pointless doing it because we had Alvarez in the box, who's not the tallest, and we were up against like one of the tallest centre backs in the Premier League, because the Leicester defenders are really tall. So that's what I thought. Like from that first half, I didn't think I don't want to say Alvarez was poor, because I think it was really difficult for him to have an impact. I think it was going to be very difficult even for Haaland to make an impact in that game, because basically Leicester were playing a back five, like they were playing a 5-4-1. So they were playing like a bank, like they were flooding the midfield with 4 midfielders, and they were tucking in, trying to make sure that they prevented all the spaces. Each and every time we went to the side, like when we gave the ball to our wingers or our fullbacks, they were doubling on those fullbacks to try and make sure that they don't leave their fullbacks isolated. So I thought it was a good tactic by Brendan Rodgers to basically try to stop us from playing, because like that's why we were like, in terms of the chances that we created in that game, they were very limited. We didn't create an awful lot of chances. And actually, in that second half, when De Bruyne scored the free kick, that was the only shot that we had that was on target in the whole second half. We never had another shot on target in that second half. And that kind of tells you how good Leicester were in terms of their defensive shape and making sure that they were limiting the opportunities that we were getting. So I thought it was the tactic that Leicester were using was a good tactic. And I wouldn't say it was a brilliant game, because Leicester pretty much didn't do anything until the 75th minute. So I wouldn't say it was a brilliant game. It was a good victory for us. Just score 1 goal, keep a clean sheet, and grind out the result. Because I wouldn't say we were at our best in that game, but we were made to not we were made by Leicester. Basically, what caused us not to be at our best was Leicester and their tactic in terms of defending really deep and defending really well and defending in numbers. I thought they did that brilliantly. And they had a few opportunities after Brendan Rodgers changed it around the 70th minute, and he put on 2 attackers, and he took off a defender, and he was playing a back 4, and he was a lot more attacking, and they were creating a few opportunities, but they never really created a clear-cut opportunity, a clear-cut goal-scoring opportunity. We defended pretty well in that regard. And we also started having chances to counter-attack them, because they were now attacking us. So that meant that there were going to be spaces that they were leaving in behind. So we got a few opportunities to attack them, and we actually had a chance to win the game. But Gundogan just couldn't stretch to reach the ball that De Bruyne put on the box. If that was Haaland, that would have been a goal, because Haaland would have gotten there. But obviously Gundogan is a lot shorter than Haaland, and he's obviously a lot slower than Haaland. So that kind of explains it. So yeah, guys, I thought it was a good performance from it was a good win from us. I wouldn't say the game was a brilliant game, because City were doing all the attacking and Leicester were doing all the defending. It was like training, when in training the coach says you must basically do attack versus defense, and you do that basically. That's what was happening basically in the game. So yeah, man, I thought it was a good win for us. Leicester, the King Power Stadium is a tough place to go to, especially when Leicester are kind of going to play that low block. So it was a good victory for us, and we move on. We play Fulham this weekend. Hopefully we win, and hopefully Arsenal draw, because Arsenal are playing Chelsea this upcoming weekend. And if they draw or they lose, we will go top of the Premier League. Currently, we're 2 points off them. And I would back us to win against Fulham. So I thought it was a good victory for us against Leicester. And yeah, man, guys, we move on. Going on to the other games. On Saturday, The other teams that played were Liverpool. Liverpool played Leeds United. It was the late kickoff on Saturday. I think the game started at 7:45 South African Standard Time. I'm not sure when it started. It was a bit late though. And obviously Liverpool lost 2-1. And obviously not a great result for them. And I thought, like, I don't want to say Leeds deserved to win that game because they never dominated Liverpool in that game. And actually, like, it's quite astonishing that Liverpool have lost at Anfield in front of a crowd since, I think, 2017 or 2016. I'm not quite sure. Like, the last time Liverpool lost at Anfield in front of a crowd was like in 2016 or 2017. I think that's a brilliant record to have. And I think since Virgil van Dijk has been a part of Liverpool, he has been, like, basically the game he played against Leeds United was his 72nd game in a Liverpool shirt at Anfield. And that was the first time he has lost. So basically, in his first 72 home games in the Premier League, he's only lost once. I think that's quite brilliant. That's a brilliant record to have. And then yeah, man, I think, like, Liverpool were, I wouldn't say they were poor because there were times when they created loads of opportunities and they were really putting Leeds under pressure, under a lot of pressure, and they were attacking and they were creating chance after chance after chance. They just couldn't capitalize on the opportunities that they had, and they couldn't capitalize on the domination that they had in the game. And as a result, that, like, allowed Leeds to kind of grow into the game and hang in there, and they ended up getting an 89th minute winner. I thought Joe Gomez was really poor. I think it was shocking in that game because he's responsible for that first goal that Liverpool conceded because, like, he wins the ball from Aronson, the Leeds winger, and Aronson quickly puts him under pressure. So he hounds him and he puts him under pressure. And Joe Gomez, because he's under pressure, he tries to go back to his goalkeeper, but instead of looking where his goalkeeper is standing, he just he just makes a blind pass to his goalkeeper. Now, if you're going to make a blind pass to someone, then, like, you're playing a very dangerous game because if you misjudge where that person is actually standing, you could put them under huge trouble. And that's what actually happened because Alisson had tried to change the angle and make it easier for Joe Gomez to find him by going away from his goal, basically. And then as he did that, Joe Gomez passed the ball, and he passed it like Alisson was here and Joe Gomez passed the ball here. And then Alisson, when he tried to kind of like go back to try and obviously recover, he slipped. And as a result, he couldn't get to that ball, and Rodrigo basically pounced on the error, and he scored from that situation. It's a poor goal to concede from a Liverpool perspective, but Joe Gomez should be looking at himself in the mirror in that situation because you cannot at the top level, top professional football, you cannot be passing without looking. Like, you have to be able to pass a ball to someone without actually looking at the ball. And what Joe Gomez does in that situation is that he's looking at the ball constantly. There's not one moment in that situation where he actually looks at where he's passing the ball. And as a footballer playing at the top level, playing in the Premier League, you should be able to make a pass without actually looking at the ball. And Joe Gomez wasn't able to do that. It was a schoolboy error from him. And as a result, he cost his team the first goal of the game. And the first goal of the game is always crucial because now your team is behind and they have to come back. And even when they come back, they have to score another goal in order to win the game. So I think he launched his goalkeeper there and he launched his teammates in that situation. Not that I'm blaming Joe Gomez for Liverpool losing that game, but for that particular moment where he made that mistake, I think that was really poor from him. And it was it was a horrific error from his point of view. And then like, obviously I didn't really watch this game from like start to finish, so I've heard a few people saying like Virgil van Dijk was poor as well in the game in terms of his reaction, in terms of his commanding, of him commanding the defense. Obviously I can't really go further there because I didn't actually like watch the whole game, so I can't really comment on whether like Virgil was really awful. I just saw Joe Gomez make that error for that first goal, and that was an awful error from him. Obviously, at this moment in time, Fabinho is playing really bad. It was substituted in that game in the second half. Trent has lost his confidence a bit. He's also not playing well. That's kind of costing Liverpool, because Trent is one of the him and Robertson are Liverpool's best creators. If you look in the last 4 years, the people who are top three in terms of assists in the Premier League, it's Trent, it's Robertson, and it's De Bruyne. I think Fernandes is in there somewhere, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, De Bruyne is the only person who is above Trent and Robertson in terms of chances created and assists. So when Trent is not playing well, or when he's suffering from a bit of confidence, then that's going to affect his team, because now his team is not going to have that person on that right-hand side who can create chances. And that's what Liverpool are struggling. That's where Liverpool are struggling at this moment in time, because Trent is suffering from a bit of confidence. He's come under a bit of scrutiny. He's been criticized. He's been heavily criticized in the media in that he's not good enough. He should have improved by now in terms of his defensive capabilities, because like this whole idea of Trent not being able to defend is not starting now. It's been around for a while, in that like people have constantly been calling him out in terms of like not being able to defend, because at times his positioning is really poor, and because of that, obviously he's come under a bit of stick from the media, and as a result of that, he's lost a bit of confidence. And I think that's making Liverpool really struggle, because now they have to play James Milner at right back, and obviously James Milner is a great professional and he's still playing at the age of 37 years old, but he should not really be playing at this moment in time, because he's simply too old to be playing like and kind of being expected to make an impact on that right hand side. So I think Jurgen Klopp is a bit of a dilemma there, in that Trent is not playing well, but he's still your most creative player, so it's really difficult to kind of bench him. But then even when he doesn't bench him, he's still not playing really well. So like, what can he do but to substitute him? So I think it's a bit of a crisis for Klopp. But it's not just Trent. Like Salah is also not playing that well. Salah is scoring a few goals, like he scored against Leeds United, but his performances are not inspiring. It's like he's not taking the games by the scruff of the neck and kind of like showing that fire and desire to kind of take the game by the scruff of the neck and saying, I'll win this game for my team. I'll take my team to the promised land. So Salah is not really playing well at this moment in time. Obviously, Luis Diaz is currently injured and he's only going to come back after the World Cup. Diogo Jota is injured. He's only coming back after the World Cup. So Liverpool are also really thin on their front line, in that they only have Darwin Núñez, Roberto Firmino, as well as Salah. Those are the only players they have in terms of the attacking front line. And in the midfield also, they're struggling with a bit of injury as well, even though like Keita and Oxlade-Chamberlain are always injured, if we're being perfectly honest. But Thiago keeps going in and out of the side. Jordan Henderson is not really playing that well. Harvey Elliott is still young. Fabio Carvalho is still young. So you can't really be relying on those lads to kind of like bail you out of certain situations. So it's a bit of a tricky situation for Liverpool at this moment in time. And their owners really have to be looking at themselves in the mirror. Instead of Klopp complaining about Man City and their spending, and complaining about Newcastle and complaining about PSG, talking absolute rubbish. And when I say he was talking absolute rubbish, I'm not saying Liverpool can compete with the finances of Man City. That's not what I'm saying. But to single out Manchester City and Newcastle and PSG because they're owned by the rich guys from the Arabic countries, I think is a bit racist. I think it's a bit like that argument is a bit flawed. To say to say Man City, PSG, as well as these guys, Newcastle, are the only clubs in world football that can do whatever they want and get away with it. That's just absolute nonsense. Because, and obviously I'm not saying Klopp is a racist or whatever, but I think a lot of people are picking on the Qatari people or the Arabic people or whatever, and they just always want to complain about the Qatari owners and highlight the fact that a lot of people, like a lot of Qatari owned countries or a lot of countries from the Arab Emirates, are like, people still don't have human rights, people are still being exploited. And I'm not saying that's not true, I'm not saying that's false, but to make it look like it's only the Arabic countries who have people who are still being exploited. The United States of America just passed the law that abortion rights should be banned. Now, if you think that's not thingy, if you think that that's okay to do, and if you think that something that a person or a country who name themselves as being a democracy, if you think that's something that should be done, then I don't know where your head is. I think saying people can't have abortion is as bad as exploiting people's human rights. Like how people like highlighting that the Qatari people or the Arabic people are being exploited and all that stuff. And I'm not saying it's not true. I'm not saying that people should not criticize the Arabic people for or the Arabic like leaders for exploiting people and for not having human rights. But also, I would like to hear more people talk about Americans and like basically the American government exploiting their people as well. Because the West, in terms of like England and the United States, they like acting like they are holy saints who do nothing wrong. They're democratic, they love their people, and they don't do anything wrong. It's only the Arabic people who are terrorists. It's only the Arabic people who are bad people and all of that stuff. And again, I'm not saying everything that happens in Arabic countries should be happening. That's not what I'm saying. Because there's some horrific things that happen in Arabic countries. Even like I was reading something last week in that like there was this lady who's from Iran, and she competed for Iran like in the Olympics or something. And now she was like, I think she was under a bit of trouble because well, not trouble, like she was under a bit of scrutiny, and I think she was going to get in trouble because she didn't wear a hijab. I think that's what it's called. I think it's called a hijab, like the thing that Arabic women wear around their hat to kind of like cover their faces or cover their hat. I think she was not wearing that while she was competing, and I think by law, people from Iran, well, women from Iran should be wearing that. And I think that's not something that should be happening. It's 2022. I get all the beliefs of Arabic people, and I'm not criticizing those beliefs. But what's wrong if a woman, like, yes, she's Arabic, but she's competing in the Olympics? What's wrong if she doesn't wear the hijab for that moment in time, and she's gonna wear it after she's done competing? I don't know why like a person should be dictated with regards to like the fact that they should be wearing that. And like it's almost as if those women are not given the choice to kind of like those women are not given the choice to say, I don't want to wear this, like I don't want to believe in whatever it is that people from Iran believe in, or people from Arabic countries believe in. It's like they're almost forced to believe in Islam. They're almost forced to do everything by the book, and each and every time they go against the law or they go against like what a man says, then that woman should be executed, that woman should be imprisoned. I think that's not right. I'm not saying it's correct. Like I'm not saying it's something that is morally correct and something that should be done. But I don't like this idea about people building this notion that like these people who own Man City or PSG or Newcastle are evil people and all of that stuff. I'm not saying you shouldn't say they're evil people. If you want to say they're evil people, you can say that. But also, there's many American football owners. Not American football owners, because now it sounds like I'm talking about the NFL. There's many owners. There's many football club owners who are American, who have relationships with politicians in America. And these same politicians in America were the ones who were not doing anything when there was a huge rise in racism in America during the during the COVID pandemic, and black people were being murdered by cops, by white policemen, and nothing was happening to those white policemen. They were not being charged or anything, and like that's obviously racist, and we all know that, and like Also, there's many football club owners who are friends with the politicians that just passed that just overturned the law of like Roe versus Wade. Now, I'm not quite sure why it's called Roe v. Wade, but basically it's the whole law with regards to abortion and the fact that many states in America have passed a law that women are not allowed to have abortion, and there are currently like the law of using contraceptives was also being looked at by many politicians who are mainly Republicans in America, and they were thinking of overturning that law as well and not allowing contraceptives. Like, what nonsense is that? Like, why should you tell someone that they can't have an abortion? Why should you tell a woman what they should do with their own body? Like, is that a democracy? Is that something that's morally correct to do? And no one ever highlights it. No one ever talks about it. But everyone wants to talk about how evil the Arabic people are. That's all I'm saying. I would just like people to keep the same energy with regards to the whole thing of criticizing Arabic people and criticizing Arabic owners who own football clubs and basically always each and every time like a football club does well, because they're owned by Arabic owners, because they have Arabic owners, that should be highlighted, and it should be highlighted how evil Arabic people are. That's just my problem with it. And also with the fact that a lot of people are saying it's Man City and Newcastle and PSG who can do whatever they want in football, which is absolute nonsense, because I can tell you now, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Man United can do whatever they want in football. They can spend however much money they want to spend if they wanted to spend that money. Real Madrid are one of the biggest spenders in the last 10 years in football. And a lot of people like criticizing Man City, like they have Jack Grealish on the bench. That's the only club that can do that. They have a player who's been signed for 100 million sitting on the bench. I'd like to remind people that Eden Hazard, who plays for Real Madrid, sits on the bench. And he was signed by Real Madrid for over 130 million pounds. He's been sitting on the bench for the last 2 or 3 seasons. Gareth Bale, in his last 2 seasons at Real Madrid, he went on loan 2 seasons ago. He was sitting on the bench a season ago at Real Madrid, taking up all the dough, taking up all the cash, not playing. And Gareth Bale was signed by Real Madrid 9 years ago in 2013 for 100 million euros. So when people want to criticize, like, don't just pick on Arabic owners or whatever because it's the most convenient thing to do and it's the easiest excuse that you can give. Criticize all the other clubs that spend as much as they want in football. Like, you know, when people criticize Man City for like overcooking criticize Man City with regards to cooking their books and all of that. Real Madrid, I actually got this from Simon Jordan, who talks on thingy. Like he's part of the panel of like White and Jordan on TalkSport, which like it's a radio from the UK that talks about football Monday to Friday from 10 till 1 UK time, from 11 till 2 South African Standard Time. There's a show called White and Jordan, and the guy who's Jordan, his name is Simon Jordan, and he's like a businessman, and he's a former football club owner. And the guy actually said Real Madrid, I forgot when it was, when financial fair play was like when the financial fair play rules were passed, and they said you cannot be getting money from sources other than football. Real Madrid actually sold property. Like, property is obviously not part of football. They sold property so that they can pump money into their football club so that they can sign players. No one ever talks about that. Everyone wants to talk about how bad Manchester City are, how evil the owners are, and everyone wants to talk about the Newcastle owners and the PSG owners. I just don't like that. It's a bit hypocritical from a lot of football fans, from a lot of football people, and that's my issue with it. I've kind of digressed there a bit, but I was basically talking about Jurgen Klopp and him moaning about. I think he should be moaning to his owners. I think the Liverpool owners should be looking to do business in January, because with the way they're playing at the moment, they could be even in jeopardy of not making top 4. And if they don't make top 4 and they're not in the Champions League next season, and they don't win the Champions League and they're not in the Champions League next season, it's going to be very difficult for them to compete again, because now it's going to be very difficult for them to attract players. Because you need, like, a lot of top players are attracted to a football club by Champions League football. If you don't have Champions League football, then all of a sudden the player does not look at your club in the same way. And they look at your club as a bit of a step down because they're not going to be playing Champions League football. So I think if the Liverpool owners don't want to have a crisis in their hands and end up not being in the Champions League next season, I think they should do business in January. I don't think they're going to win the league. I don't think unless something catastrophic really happens, let's say all the City players get injured and all the Liverpool players come back from injury, I just don't see them winning the league. I think Arsenal have a potential to finish over them. I've already changed my predictions at the beginning of the season when I said Liverpool are going to finish second. I said Arsenal are going to finish second behind Manchester City. I'm sticking with it because everything I see from Arsenal suggests that they are, with Man City, the best teams in the Premier League in terms of the football that they're playing. I think the only thing that can kind of halt the progress of Arsenal is injuries. I think their squad is really thin, and a couple of injuries to a couple of key players could really be be bad for them. But if they don't get any injuries, I just don't see how Liverpool can finish above them, if I'm being perfectly honest. So Liverpool have to do some business in January if they want to improve. And then obviously the other game, guys, that played was Chelsea v Brighton. Obviously Graham Potter was going back to his old club, Brighton, and he obviously that's where he made his name. That's where he made a name for himself. Kind of helped Brighton really progress, help them play help them in terms of building the style of football that Brighton play. The only reason why Brighton can play against the likes of Man City, against the likes of Arsenal, against the likes of Chelsea, and dominate them and outclass them in certain periods of the game is because Graham Potter coached those players into and he coached those players from players who were average to players who were, let's not say world class, but just below world class. Because when you look at Brighton and the football that they play and the patterns of play that they have, they really play like they are a team that should be aspiring for top four. But obviously they don't have the funds to kind of match the spending power of those top sides, and that's the only reason why they're not making top four or they're not making top six. So that's where Graham Potter made a name for himself, was obviously going back to Brighton. With Chelsea were awful. They were shocking defensively. They were giving the ball away cheaply. Thiago Silva made a few goal line clearances early on, and one actually came from his own error where he gave the ball away to a Brighton player. And then obviously Brighton kept pressing Chelsea. They kept creating opportunities, and they eventually scored through Trossard. Great feed from him, great composure, great finish from him. I think Trossard is going to leave Brighton at the end of the season on a free transfer, if I'm being perfectly honest, because the way he started this season is really playing at peak level. And he only has less than a year left on his contract, so he can go to another football club for free next summer, and I think he's going to leave because he's really he's performing at a very high level at this moment in time, and I've really been impressed. I've been really impressed with him so far this season. And yeah, man, Brighton completely outclassed and outplayed Chelsea in that game. Chelsea got to go back to Kai Havertz, but they were 3-0 down at halftime. They were shocking on the day. Defensively, they were all over the place. Attacking wise, they didn't really create anything apart from that chance they got from Havertz. But there were a few other opportunities, because I actually remember they did actually create more opportunities. I remember Christian Pulisic missing a sitter where I think the goalkeeper made a save, the Brighton goalkeeper made a save, and the ball basically went to Christian Pulisic, and the goalkeeper was down, and he tried to take a shot, and his shot was wide. And he had a whole goal to aim at because the goalkeeper was still trying to scramble and try to get up to his feet. So that was a poor, obviously, finish from Christian Pulisic. And at that moment in time, I think if he had scored, the game would have been 3-2. It might have been a different game, but obviously he didn't score. And as a result, Brighton ended up winning the game 4-1. Brilliant performance from Brighton, but a shocking, atrocious performance from Chelsea. You can't really single out any player for Chelsea whom you can say they were decent. They were awful all over the pitch. They didn't create anything. They didn't defend well enough, and they deservedly lost 4-1. And they could have lost by more goals if Brighton were clinical in the game. So yeah, man. And also the Brighton fans kind of booed. They booed Graham Potter. And I don't know exactly why they booed him. But I think that was a bit classless from them. Because Graham Potter made them who they are. The only reason why they are where they are and they are in the top 10 of the Premier League is because of Graham Potter. So I think that was a bit classless from them. Obviously, I don't know what reason, like whether they were booing Graham Potter or they were booing Chelsea, but I don't think they would have a reason to boo Chelsea because they're not even like rivals with Chelsea. So I think they were booing Graham Potter, and I think people just have to understand that Graham Potter had to take the offer from Chelsea because he was going to double his salary probably or even triple his salary. He was going to be coaching a team that's playing Champions League football. So it's too good of an opportunity to reject. So if they were booing Graham Potter for him leaving, like as a result of him leaving for Chelsea, I think that's stupid from them, if I'm being perfectly honest. Because I mean, any one of us, if we were in the same situation, would have done exactly the same thing. We would have left Brighton and we would have gone to Chelsea. Why? Because there's more resources to work with. You're gonna get paid more. You're gonna be coaching top players, meaning it's gonna be a lot easier for you to get your message across because top players take messages a lot faster than mediocre players. It's like at school, people who are really clever take messages from the teacher a lot quicker than people who are not so clever. So like it's a no-brainer that Graham Potter was going to leave Brighton for Chelsea because it's too good of an opportunity to turn down. So if they were booing him for that, I think that's stupid from them and it's a bit classless from them. But yeah, man, Brighton fully deserved to win against Chelsea, and Chelsea were well and truly shocking in that game, and they didn't deserve anything from the game. If anything, they deserved to get beaten by more goals. That's how bad they were in that game. And then obviously the other game, guys, was between Tottenham and Bournemouth. Tottenham and Bournemouth played. And obviously, like, Bournemouth actually started the game really well. They were 2-0 up in the game. Spurs were atrocious, as they've been the whole season, basically. They've just been, like, scraping for results. And they've been, like, they've been bailed out time and time again by Harry Kane or Son or Kulusevski or Richarlison. But obviously they're struggling a bit now because Kulusevski is injured, Richarlison is injured, so they only have Kane and Son as the only options they have up top is Kane and Son, which is a bit of a dilemma for Antonio Conte because he can only rely on two attacking players. Obviously the Bournemouth played well. Actually, I think their first goal was really well crafted. There's a great goal from them, great link-up play from Dominic Solanke, and it was a great play overall from them leading up to that goal. And obviously, these guys, Bournemouth scored the second goal, and obviously they were 2-0 up against Spurs, and obviously Spurs eventually came behind to win the game 3-2. So I guess we should praise them for showing great character in the game, because whenever you're 2-0 down, it's easy to lose belief and say, oh well, we've already lost the game, so we might as well just stop playing. But they never stopped believing. They just kept on pushing, they kept on trying, and they kept on working hard, and eventually things fell for them and they ended up scoring the goals that they needed to win the game. So yeah, I thought this is nothing new really, because Tottenham have been bad for this whole season, just that they are third in the Premier League because they have top players up top. So they are able, even without playing well, they are able to win games against teams that don't punish them, because they have the quality up front to hurt any team in the world. Because when you have Kane and Son, two world-class attackers, you out of nothing, you can create chances and you can always hurt the opposition because you have top players playing for you. So I think Spurs are a bit of a mystery. They are third, but their fans are also disgruntled with how they're playing, because they're just playing with a handbrake on. They keep it seems like they start playing after going behind in a game, because in that game against Bournemouth, they actually started playing and started kind of attacking only after Bournemouth had scored 2 goals. And that's not something that they should be doing, because you should be performing and you should be playing. You should not be relying on a team scoring against you in order for you to start playing. you should be playing from the very word go, and you should be putting on 100%, putting in 100% each and every time you step onto that football pitch. Each and every time you step over that white line, you should be playing at 100%, and you should be putting you should be putting your best foot forward, and you should be putting your best performance. And that's not what Tottenham have been doing all season, and that's why they've lost against the teams that have the quality to punish them. They lost against Man United, Arsenal. Who did they also lose against? I think those are the only 2 games they've lost. But they lost those games because those teams that they were playing against, they made their dominance count. They didn't allow them to hang in there. They finished them. Like, every chance they got, they were able to take it. And they basically destroyed any hope of Tottenham kind of like starting to play in the second half and getting back into the game. So, yeah, man, I think I'm not like, obviously Antonio Conte has been brought in at Tottenham to try and win a trophy. So he's not there to entertain people and to play a style of football that the Tottenham fans want. But I do think that they're not playing well, and like their performances will get found out against the top teams, because against the top teams you can't afford to go 2-0 down. If you go 2-0 down against a top team, you are not coming back from the game. Bournemouth were shocking defensively in that game, and it allowed Tottenham to get back into the game, because when Tottenham actually started playing, Bournemouth lost concentration at the back, and they were conceding goals left, right and centre. So, and that's not something you can do against the top sides, because the top sides are not going to give you free opportunities like how like how Bournemouth are going to give you. So I think that's something that they need to polish from their game. This whole thing of not actually starting to play until you go a goal or 2 down, I don't think that's something that's sustainable, and that's something that you should be doing. You should be trying to take the game to the opposition, and you should be trying to initiate your offense. You should not be trying to stop the opposition from playing. You should be trying to play your own game, and you should be trying to win the game by doing so. So, yeah, man, I think Tottenham have to improve, because the way they're playing at this moment in time is not sustainable. It's just, you can't keep on doing that, because you will get found out once you get up against a team that will punish you. You will get found out. Actually, Man United and Arsenal are not the only games Tottenham have lost. They have also lost against Newcastle last week. They lost against Newcastle United, who are very good, by the way. So, yeah, guys, I'll move on from the Tottenham game, and I will speak about Arsenal. Tottenham's North London rivals. There's a brilliant performance from Arsenal, especially in the second half, when they put 4 past Nottingham Forest. Obviously, Nottingham Forest are not like playing that well, because like obviously they've just been promoted. Steve Cooper, the coach, has been trying to integrate the new players into the squad. They bought 20 plus players in the summer transfer window, and it's always going to be difficult to kind of like embed those players into the side, and it's always going to be very difficult It's always going to be very difficult to make sure that the players gel in the right way, and make sure that the players like are able to put on their best foot forward and are able to put on their best performances. So, yeah, I think it's really difficult for Nottingham Forest. Obviously, they had a great win against Liverpool last week, but Arsenal are just on another level to Liverpool at this moment in time. The intensity that they play at is a lot quicker than the intensity Liverpool play at, and they just hound you. They force mistakes upon you, and that's what they did to Nottingham Forest. And I thought Jesus played really well. There's some Arsenal fans kind of questioning Jesus because he hasn't scored, I think, in 8 games or 7 games. But I think they should not be questioning Jesus at all, because what he brings to the table is more than just goals. The game is not just about goals and assists. I think at this moment in time, we're too stats oriented. Like everything we look at, we want to look at stats. Like every time we look at an attacking player, we want to look at how many goals and assists he has, instead of looking at the overall package that he brings to the table. And I think when you look at Gabriel Jesus, that's what you have to do in order to fully understand what he actually brings to the team. I think you will understand a lot better in terms of what he brings to the team if you look at the way that Arsenal play when he's on the football pitch. And you compare and contrast that with when he's not on the football pitch. So I don't think that's something that Arsenal fans should be worrying about. they should just worry about keeping Jesus fit, because I think when he's injured, they will struggle a bit because they're not going to get what Jesus brings to the table from Nketiah. So I thought it was a brilliant performance from Arsenal. 5-star win, 5-star win, 5-0 win, 5 goals, 2 goals from Reece Nelson, who, by the way, obviously like he's obviously an Arsenal lad who's been on a lot of loans, who's been out on a lot of loans, and he obviously got his opportunity this weekend because Saka, I think, got injured. So and he took his opportunity because he had 2 goals and he had 1 assist. If Saka's not playing this weekend, upcoming weekend, which I don't think he is, I think he should be starting because of that performance he had against Nottingham Forest. Yes, it's against Nottingham Forest, who are not that good. But if like they're still the Premier League side, and he scored 2 goals and got 1 assist in the game, so I think it would be harsh on him if he was not started against Chelsea this upcoming weekend. I thought it was a good performance from Thomas Partey, got a goal. Good performance from Odegaard. Great, like good overall performance from Arsenal. Obviously you would expect them to win against Nottingham Forest, but you still have to go out there and do it. So I thought it was a good overall performance from Arsenal. And then like just to wrap up the video, guys, I will talk about Man United. Man United are really playing well at this moment in time. They're able to grind out results as well. They're able to score a few goals. Rashford seems like he's playing with a smile on his face again, which was not the case last season when he looked like he was a bit like he looked like he was in a dark place mentally. It didn't look like he was enjoying his football. It didn't look like he actually wanted to play. It looked like it was just like very difficult for him to kind of like even get motivated to start playing. And it seems like he's rejuvenated himself. It seems like he's at a rest. It seems like he's cleared his head. It seems like he's playing really well at this moment. Like he's playing with a smile on his face, which is helping him to play a lot better than he played last season when he offered like next to nothing, basically. I was happy with the fact that Elanga got a chance. Obviously, I'm not a Man United fan, so I'm not too bothered who plays for Man United or whatever. But I think it was harsh on Anthony Elanga for him not to start and for Sancho to keep on starting, because Sancho has been really bad this season. He has not offered much. It seems like he's suffering from a bit of confidence. It seems like he's scared to take players on. So I think Elanga should be playing more than him at this moment in time, because you never know, it could actually help Sancho not to play because the spotlight is going to go away from him. And if the spotlight has gone away from him, he can focus on improving his game. He can focus on working really hard. And whenever he goes back to the team, he's then like, the spotlight is not going to be on him because there will be another player that was on the team that was playing well in his place. Like a perfect example is Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire had a decent performance yesterday against West Ham, and you could say that is because he's been benched a couple of times, and as a result, the spotlight has gone away from him. He has not been getting as much criticism from the media, as much criticism from Twitter, as much criticism from fans, and as a result, he's been able to focus on his game. He's been able to work hard, and now he's gone back to the team, and there's no pressure on him because now no one is talking about him because he was out the side for a couple of weeks. So I think that could actually be a good thing for Sancho, for him to go out the team, because the fact that he's constantly playing and he's constantly being criticized, he's constantly being looked at under a microscope. That's not going to help his confidence in terms of helping it improve. So I think Erik ten Hag should think about benching him a bit until he can get his confidence a bit, like until the spotlight can go away from him a bit, so that he can focus on his game a bit more. I thought Man United were decent against West Ham. West Ham is always a tough team to play against. I thought the only thing that Man United were struggling with was cutting edge. I don't think they have a cutting edge up front. I think their build-up play is good. I think Casemiro is playing like the world-class defensive midfielder that he is. It's quite astonishing that some people were doubting Casemiro in terms of the impact that he was going to have on Man United. And what I always say is that I can't doubt someone who has won 5 Champions League titles, and each and every one of those Champions League titles he won while he was starting for Real Madrid Football Club or club football. If you're going to start for Real Madrid as the defensive midfielder, and you're going to start in all 5 finals that you've been a part of with the football club, then you can't be a poor player. Like, that's never going to happen. You can't be a poor player starting for Real Madrid in the Champions League final. And Casemiro was basically that at Real Madrid. So that's why I was a bit surprised in terms of people not expecting that he was going to struggle in the Premier League, because Casemiro is a world-class footballer. He's a world-class defensive midfielder. Okay, maybe not a world-class footballer in terms of his skill, but he is a world-class defensive midfielder. And he's one of the best holding midfielders in the game. And you can tell the difference between Man United with Scott McTominay at defensive midfielder and Man United with Casemiro at defensive midfielder. He's able to do what Fred and McTominay combined couldn't do as one, basically. Fred and McTominay used to play for Man United as the two holding midfielders, and they still can't do what Casemiro brings to the table. Like, they still can't bring what Casemiro brings to the table from a defensive midfield point of view. So I think it's been a really great signing for Man United. Christian Eriksen as well, playing really well, spraying passes all over the pitch, really linking up play well, linking the defense to the attack really well. Good performance from Ronaldo. Worked really hard. Tried to win the ball back from the opposition. I think he's kind of knuckled down, and he's just trying to win the fans back, trying to show a bit of character, show a bit of fight, a bit of So I think he did well. And I think it's good management from Ten Hag, in terms of not axing Ronaldo, because he he knows that he might need Ronaldo at some point this season, because first of all, his attackers are injury prone because they're always injured. Martial is always injured. Martial, I don't know how he's called. He's always injured, so you can't really rely on him. And even if he was not injured all the time, he's not as clinical a finisher as Ronaldo is. So to have that option of having Ronaldo, I think is good. And something that Erik ten Hag should keep utilizing. So yeah, guys, I think it was a good performance from Man United. West Ham could have gotten something from the game, because they did attack a bit towards the latter stages of the game and created a few opportunities towards the latter stages of the game. I was really disappointed with them in the first half, because they didn't really they weren't able to make the ball stick. They weren't able to they weren't able to hold onto the ball enough for them to create chances. They kept losing the ball, and I think we're starting to see the patterns of play that Erik ten Hag wants at Man United. The high pressing style, winning the ball back, keeping possession, dominating the possession in the game. I think that's the style that he wants to implement. You can start that. If you watch Man United, you can you would have started to see the patterns of play that he's trying to implement at the football club. The only thing I would say Man United are still shocking at is the finishing. They're not clinical enough, and they're not precise enough in creating chances. They don't have cutting edge. They don't have that guile that's needed for you to create chances. So I think that's really the only thing they're struggling with at this moment in time. But apart from that, I thought they had a good performance against West Ham. So yeah, guys, I'll wrap up the video there. I have to hurry a bit, man, because I'm gonna have load shedding in 40 minutes. Welcome to South Africa. So I have to kind of bounce. And yeah, guys, thank you for watching the video, man. Thank you for supporting the channel. Please continue to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Please push that thumbs up button to like the video. It's free of charge, guys. I really appreciate that if you did that for me. And also, please push that notification bell so that you can get notified each time I post a new video. And yeah, guys, thank you for supporting the channel. I appreciate you guys coming out and watching the video, and I appreciate you guys following the channel. Please continue to give me that support. I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching the video. Have a great evening, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.